Good morning, everybody. Today is the first day of our presentation season, first of the batch 2022 students, and you all are going to mic is okay. You all are going to make presentations on the topics, and the list also will display the list and the topic right now to have a look at how many of you are going to make presentation on which topic. So let me share a screen. Okay. So in this morning session of the first day, we will have presentations in this sequence and on these topics. Anjali will be first to make presentation on critical analysis of John Donne's poem "Death Be Not Proud," okay? Followed by Archana. Archana will make presentation on I think thematic study of the Rover. Okay? Yes, so you can also have a look at your topics later on when you upload your presentations. These changes you can make, and tomorrow also you can say that you make a better topic or a title. Okay? Thematic study of the Rover, and the Rover, the title is normally written in single inverted comma. This is for both of you, Anjali, Archana, and all other students who has not mentioned topic in single inverted comma. So tomorrow you see that you do this. Don't use double inverted comma. Okay? Double inverted comma is for quotation. It is for the quotation, and single inverted comma is for the title of the text. Okay? So I hope next time tomorrow we will not repeat this instruction. If possible, you can note down somewhere also. So whenever you write the topic, you do not make this mistake. Even when you write your answers in exam, you have to see that whenever you write title of the text, you have to make in single inverted comma. Okay? Aarti will make presentation on elements of Shakespearean tragedies with reference to his famous tragedies. Okay, you are studying Shakespearean tragedies. Followed by Avani. Avani will make presentation on feminist reading and psychology of Lady Macbeth. You can use capital R in reading, capital P in psychology. In the title, all keywords are capitalized. When you write a title, this is another instruction. If you think that you will forget it, keep on taking a note of the instructions. First instruction was about single inverted comma to be used in the title. Second is all keywords are capitalized. Yes. Small words like of, is, that can be a small letter, but big words are all capitalized. Okay? So elements of Shakespearean that we have seen, this feminist reading, capital R and capital P, followed by Bhavyata's presentation on Absalom and Achitophel as a political satire. So Absalom and Achitophel is the name of the text. Single inverted comma is to be used for that. Thereafter, Drashti will make presentation on John Dryden as a satirist. You can write capital S for satirist, which is a key word here. Gayatri will make presentation on Hamartia. Okay? Ghanshyam will read on witchcraft and supernatural belief in connection of Shakespeare's Macbeth. You can say that a study of witchcraft, supernaturals in Shakespeare's Macbeth. That way you can make it simple, so that supernatural will include witchcraft and other things. So a study of supernaturals in Shakespeare's Macbeth. Macbeth is to be in single inverted comma in your title. Gopi will make presentation on women in the Rover. Okay, you have made it properly. The Rover is in single inverted comma. And finally, the last one will be by Hetal. The topic will be concept of ambition in the play Macbeth. Okay? Concept of ambition in, you can also say Shakespeare's Macbeth. Macbeth will come in single inverted comma. Okay? So I hope in title, these mistakes will not be repeated in subsequent presentations, assignments, and even in your answers when you write your university exams. Be careful that we don't have to instruct you again about how to make a proper use of title in your writing. All of you have submitted your presentations in Google Classroom. And here are your presentations through which you are going to make the presentations here. Uh, we have three levels of assessment. The first, the teacher's evaluation. The teacher is going to evaluate you on this rubric based assessment in Google Classroom. The parameters are like, first is subject knowledge, and if you want to score maximum point, you have to demonstrate full knowledge by answering all class questions with explanations and elaboration. Then you get full score. Otherwise, how you will get lesser score, that is explained in the rubric. Organization of your presentations. So students present information in logical, interesting sequence which audience can follow. Then you get full score. But if this is not achieved, then you may get 3, 2, or 1. And we have explained that what are the parameters for 3, 2, and 1 also. Then verbal skill, your elocution, art of clear speaking. So if you have a clear voice, correct, precise pronunciation of terms, so that all audience members can hear your presentation properly, then you will get full score. Otherwise, you may get lesser score in that. Thereafter, mechanics of writing. So if there are any spelling errors or grammatical errors, then you may cut marks. If there are no spelling errors or grammatical errors, then you may get full score in this writing mechanics. Thereafter, there is non-verbal parameter, that is about eye contact, body language, and enthusiasm. So if you are able to hold attention of entire audience with the use of direct eye contact and seldom looking at notes, we have seen most of the time that you will be just reading your slides only. Now, if you're just reading your slides, you may cut your points here. So you have to try to maintain time and again contact with audience, and sometimes you can look at the slides also. And along with that, because we are doing this live streaming, it is expected that you look at camera also, so that anybody who is online or later on when you will upload the videos on your YouTube channel, the audience or the watcher can think that you are talking with them. So try to maintain eye contact with camera also. In that case, you may get full score in that. Then last two parameters are about research writing. Presentations, assignments are research-based writing. So here, to bring home your argument, you have to use some sources. And if you have very well, exceptionally well integrated your sources to support your claims which are argued in your presentation, then you will get full score. Otherwise, you may get lesser score. And then whichever sources you have used, how well are you citing? So there is a proper method of citing the sources. We use MLA style documentation. So if you have done that according to MLA style, you will get full score. But if common mistakes are made, like no alphabetical order or some citations have some problems, then you may get lesser score also. So these are the parameters on which, through the given rubric in Google Classroom, teacher evaluation will happen for you, and which is supported by what we call it as peer and self-evaluation. Okay? Peer and self-evaluation. And we have this blog we have prepared to make you understand the parameters on which you have to judge yourself and your classmates. And there is a link given there for peer evaluation of semester 1 students. Click here. You have to click there for all 5 days. And this form will open wherein you are supposed to do peer and self-evaluation of the students who are making presentations in your group. Okay? So So you have to select a paper first, and then you have to give the mark. In case there is any, don't give multiple markings. Only once you have to give the markings. Later on, you have to edit the form also. If anybody is absent in your group, don't do the evaluation of the absent students. Okay, those who are present, and also self evaluation you have to do here. Okay? We are doing live streaming of this. Uh, we are doing live streaming here. So here is the list of uh, all our student webinars which we started during corona times, and then we found it very convenient to document our process. It is very helpful to you also for in future to improve yourself. So we continued even in post corona time with this method of hybrid or mixed mode of seminars. And these are the previous presentations. Number 14 is yours, the last one. Number 14 is this session, semester 1, October 2022, batch 22-24, and their presentations are there. Okay? And this is the page on which all the presentations will be live streamed. So today, the first one we have started here, and it is going on. The first one, the afternoon session will be live streamed here, and subsequently all the days presentations will be live streamed, and then the recording will be made available on this particular page here. Okay, so this is how we are planning this seminar seasons. Uh, Now let us start with the things. I will ask the first student to come and make a presentation, and we can start with the first one. So Anjali, yes, you can come and start with the presentation. Okay.
I'm audible and visible.
Now play your presentation. Let's see in the Google Classroom. in slides,
So it is not opening the slides.
open slides. The right hand side panel. This is classroom. To place when you come.
You didn't hand in? Sir, in this classroom, it is not showing that her presentation is submitted.
No, she,
It is not showing in this panel.
you have not submitted yet? Anjali, you have not submitted yet your class. You submit everybody, you have to hand in the things. There is your assignment in Google Classroom. Then it will not play if you have not handed in. See, yeah, see what is down at the bottom. Hand in. Yes, this you have forgotten. Everything you have to see. All this you list down. If you think that you will remember, but you will not remember. Today she has made mistake. Tomorrow the other one will make mistake. Third day the third one will make the same mistake. So write down everything that when you submit you have to hand in also. Just a minute. Let me see. It is submitted now. It is reflected, not reflected. Make a list of the works to be done. Okay? Here PPT is now it is here. Yeah. Now from here slideshow. Is it visible? Okay, yes, you can start now. Yeah.
Hello everyone, good morning. Myself Anjali Rathod. Today is the first day of our presentations and I am going to deal with my topic about the critical analysis of death be not proud.
Blank slide. Next. Please, next.
Directly about poem.
Yes, we are seeing the slide. Go to it. Are you seeing the same slide?
Sir, blank check.
The entire presentation is blank. Then you have made some mistake in uploading.
Basically about to poem want to tell you nothing about it. Introduction. My topic is Death Be Not Proud, written by John Donne. It is a Holy Sonnets 10. About to author. John Donne, John Donne was born in 1572 London in England and died in 1631 London in England. His occupation, he was a metaphysical poet. His movement and style, Jacobean age and metaphysical poets. His notable works are Valedictions, Better My Heart, Holy Sonnets, Songs and Sonnets. About to poem. Uh, John Donne's poem, Death Be Not Proud. Death Be Not Proud is a metaphysical poem by John Donne that has been written in the structure of a sonnet. The structure of the poem, it has 14 lines with a rhythm scheme of uh, ABBA, ABBA, CD, DE, AA. The poem was first published in 1633. This is a poem analysis of the poem. The sonnet is made up of 14 lines. There is one 8-line stanza. This is called the octave. There is also one 6-line stanza. This is sestet. The text has a overriding assonance system which is ABBA, ABBA, CDDC, and EE. The first stanza of the poem says that he has the power might to do terrible, dreadful things. First stanza done personifies the death and addresses a person of thing who is not present or cannot respond it. Uh, is known as a apostrophe. Done talks to death as if it is a person who carries around a sickle. When poets addresses a person or thing that is not there or cannot respond it, it is called an apostrophe. The speaker orders death not to be proud and then says that people are mistaken in treating death as some fearsome being. Second stanza is in contrast with the poet praises death for his good qualities and suggested that death does not eliminate, he offers relief and rest. More important are the changes in punctuation, of which the first line is a great example in the original version from 1633. The sonnet begins, Death be not proud. What is the difference? There is no comma after death in the original. The third stanza, he further humiliates death and shows pity by addressing him as a poor death. Donne used the word overthrow for killing and revolted against the king life. We think it is a perfectly cool for modern editors to change the punctuation to make it clear, clearer that Donne addresses death like a person, but just keep in mind that it changes the meaning slightly in the modern in the modern version. We lose the possibility that the speaker could describe the death as well as address it. That is, you could read death be not proud to mean death is not proud. Death thinks that he has the power to kill people, but he actually doesn't not. Dunn uses the word overthrow instead of kill in line 3, an interesting choice because people usually use the word in the context of overthrowing a ruler and taking control of his territory. Fifth and sixth stanza, uh, death is being fooled and Donne introduces the idea of Christian eternity, who ultimately attain the new eternal life. The idea of killing people just before pulling the rug out from under him to make things more humiliating, the speaker starts to show his pity by addressing poor death, as if death just had his dreams crushed and now needs some cheering up. In the In the fifth stanza, he compares death to rest and sleep, to things that give us a pleasure. Therefore, death should give us pleasure. To when we finally meet, he claims that rest and sleeps are only pictures of death. The pleasure of death will flow like water or honey. Sounds nice. Where do we sign up? The comparison of death to sleep or eternal rest is a classic metaphor in Christian writings, one that goes back a long time. In the seventh stanza, death into the afterlife, thinking that he will give the rest of their bones and free or deliver. Few people go to war intending to die. Otherwise, they would not be very good soldiers. The seventh or eighth stanza, the poet says that the best men follow death as they need to rest their bones and free their souls from worldly pain and sufferings. Dunn used the word delivery to express freedom. It offers the idea of rebirth after death. These line, these lines can be understood by considering the situation of army men. In the ninth stanza, the speaker suggests that death does not act on his own free will and instead is controlled or manipulated by other things like fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. A desperate men, we think, refers to people who commit suicide or do stupid and reckless stuff. In the ninth stanza, the poets suggest that in Petrarch's sonnet, poet sharp U-turn from previous stanza and here too. In the tenth, the speaker the speaker brings another accusation against death, claiming that he hangs out or dwells with those notorious thugs, poison, war, and sickness. In lines of 5 or 6, the speaker argues that death will be just like sleep, except even better. If I want to sleep really well, I can just use drugs and magic charms. This seems to conflict with the idea that death is supposed to be way more pleasurable than sleep. A stroke of a clock at the exact moment of death. It could refer to the stroke of a sword, which is obviously much more violent. The speaker puts death in his place, telling him not to swell with pride. Then returns to the idea of death as sleep. which gets a bit more complicated here because he gives a time frame. It is a short sleep. In traditional Christian theology, it is thought that when people died, it is like they are asleep until the end of the world of or judgment day. At this point, Jesus wakes everyone up to lead them to heaven, where they will spend eternity. And last stanza, the poem's final words seal the deal: death thou shalt die. Anybody wants
Okay,
to
so
ask a
who is
question?
asking questions? Hetal, Gopi, have you put your question in the comment? Okay, Hetal has. Okay, where are you sitting? Raise your hand so I can. Okay, you can.
Am I audible?
Yes, you can ask.
So, Anjali, my question is why does the poet John Donne not afraid of the death?
Death, uh, be not proud, because he was dreadful, mighty, and fearless.
According to you, why
Yeah,
does the
just a
poet
minute, just a minute. Your question will get reflected and then you will ask. Where are we? Gopi, Gopi. Next question. Gopi. Yes, Rama.
according to you, why does the poet ask death not to be proud?
Ask death not to be proud as he thinks that death is or powerful, fearful, or dreadful. Okay, thank you.
Your name is double A or single A? Aarti, Sarvaiya. In Google Classroom, her number is first. Here it is second. So writing double A or single A, have to follow one format.
Am I visible or audible?
Yes. Spelling Aarti double A or single A? And this must also be double A or single A? You got me? You will leave aside this must number double A. In this in the sheet it is not coming first number. Then you have to correct that name. When you are typing your name, everything, then what is the spelling there? You can be there is number one. The roll number is one. In this is one. That's why it's one. As we have informed that spelling error is there. So in that also might be copied from some other source where Aarti might be written. Correct everything. Because it disturbs everywhere. In the case of other ઉપર નીચે નામ પડે આપણું કામ બેવડાઈ જાય અને એ મજૂરી કરવી પડે કારણ કે તમારા ટાઈમ સ્ટેમ્પ લેવાના છે આ તે કેટલું બધું હોય એટલે એ ચાલે જ નહીં સિક્વન્સ તો એ રહેવી જોઈએ તમારે તરત કામ કરવી જોઈએ કે મારું નામ પહેલું આવવું જોઈએ નંબર કેમ બદલાઈ ગયો છે. Okay, yes, I will start.
Okay.
These are live. We have to make all these comments. If we are not careful initially, then well, live things are very much. Yes.
Am I visible and audible? Yes. Okay. Uh, Hello everyone. My name is Archana. Today I am presenting paper number 1, literature of Elizabethan and Restoration periods. In my topic is thematic on the Rover, who is written by Afraben. This is my info. Here I discuss about the writer, works of Afraben, the Rover, thematic, and conclusion, and then I play work cited. Here is Afraben. Afraben was born was not is unclear. It is unclear where exactly Afraben was born, or even what her maiden name was. There is no any other sources or given to us right about their birth and death. Also, she is believed to have married a man with the last name Ben in the mid 60, but little is known about him, and she may have made him up completely. After becoming a spy for the English monarchy, Ben was deeply in debt. In fact, a warrant was even issued for her arrest. It was then that Ben began writes play, and she writes play, the Rover. By the 1670 and 80, Ben was one of the most prolific and successful playwright for the British stage. But but I see in W. J. Long book there is no any others information about Afraben because that time not allowed to write or publish in any other places. Although, although she died poor, her fame was so great that she was buried in Westminster Abbey. Works of Afraben, she wrote the first marriage, the first play in 6070. Then she wrote Abdelazar, tragedy in 6076, and she wrote the Rover. The Rover has two parts. One part was published in 1677 and second part was published in 1681. And here I here I say themes of the Rover. That was a part one. And in this play, there are five themes like gender role, love versus lust, wit and language, class money, and deceit and disguise. So let's start gender role. In this play, there were two type of character: dishonorable men and dishonorable women. Dishonorable men like Wilmore seek in the pleasure, and dishonorable women like Florinda, sorry, um, uh, Angelica and Lucetta seek to ensure men, and the honorable women like Florinda and honorable men like Belville. Belville seek to protect women either our father or father, son, or husband or others. And honorable women like Florinda, like sister, either sister, mother, or any other. Men bear sword and seek out violence. Women are peaceful and are threatened by violence. Definition of femininity available in Restoration Britain all bad news for women. Here are the chart of the theme in the Rover books. There are five chapters, and in that chapters, gender roles given in this play. Second is love versus lust. The rakish Wilmore uses the ambiguity between love and lust to his advantage, vowing love when he actually only feels physical lust. And Angelica begins by preferring lust to love because when she put one advertisement to her outside home, that time she was believing lust because she doesn't love to another person. And that time we know that Wilmore come, and she love with Wilmore. Helena. Helena, for all her boldness, wishes for love rather than lust, and succumbs to Wilmore's advances only after she is convinced that he loves for her rather than simply lusting. For the more traditional Florinda, lust in dangerous making formerly honorable men threatening and dangerous. We know that uh, Florinda is make a spy or make like another person to uh, wear a mask and make a spy for herself. Another Another one is class and money. The Cavaliers constantly bemoan the fact that they do not have sufficient funds, while Don Pedro picks a husband for his sister, based almost slowly upon fortune. Angelica too is obsessed with money and must curiously decide whether she will give her heart to Wilmore for free or hold out for the highest bidder. And in fact, the themes of money and love lust often become intertwined in the play as characters speak about purchasing love or giving each other credit. The world in which they live is a capitalistic one, and money pervades even the most emotional of issues. In our Hindi movie, Etraz, in movie we also see class and money, and then wit and language. Blunt, for instance, is instantly a figure of fun as soon as the audience hear his dull, plodding speech. He becomes even more so when he foolishly allows himself to be taken in by the clever Lucetta. and Wilmore, in contrast, uh, can act immorally, yet will always be forgiven because of his eloquence, and charm. When he meets Helena, the two are attracted not to each other's looks, but to their perfectly matched wits. We know the Helena also loved with Belville, and not interest in Wilmore and Blunt also. Deceit and disguise. Of course, deceit, disguise, and the confusion they cause also illuminate interesting issues surrounding identity. While some characters like Florinda and Belleville, they are honorable, and Helena and Wilmore excel at it. Identity is flawed for these figures. They can try on many different roles until they find one that fits. The prevalence of deceit and disguise is therefore also meta-theatrical, exists on a plane outside the plot of the play, because it reminds the audience that they are watching a play, that all of these people on stage are in fact wearing disguises as they act their roles. We are also see decide and disguise in our life, because some years ago we show that that time was corona time, and that time we wear a mask, and in our classrooms also teachers were teaching, and we are eating someone in our mouth also, so we are decide ourselves also. The rover takes place at carnival time, and carnival time that there in Nepal, in Italy, and Helena, Florinda, and Valeria wear mask of Antonio and Don Pedro's. Antonio's mask and Don Pedro's comedy of mistaken identities to Lucetta robbery of Blunt. The play does, however, create a strong connection between disguise and love. The prevalence of mask and lies implying that while deceit may often be harmful, some measure of deceit may be necessary in order to help love flourish. And conclusion, I am this is quote and this is sentence was at the rover in scene 1 act 1, and this sentence was speak by Helena. I am resolved to provide myself this carnival, if there be ever a handsome fellow of my humor above ground, though I ask first. And this is are my work cited, and thank you. Yes, Hetal. Uh, I can say the theme of love versus lust in today's time. We also see some movies like like uh, hmm, uh, out are not Etras. In this Etras movie, there were Priyanka Chopra was uses money for, and Akshay Kumar was also affected to for love with Priyanka. So this is the
But remember everything. So tomorrow we do not waste our time. Okay? It takes some time in this to come here. So by the time the conclusion is made, you have to draft your question and put in the comment so we can display the question when you are asking it. Just a minute. Your question has yet not come up. Have you typed your question in the comment? Have you typed it or not? Are you typing still? Yes. Are you? Others, we have to learn from a lesson from this. So when your turn comes, you have to be alert and be ready. You may have some network issues. We understand that, so we have to do things in advance. Still, your question has not come. Is it typed, submitted, or not?
Yes, sir, submitted.
Yeah, okay, now it is there. Okay. Okay, now you can ask.
What uh, what happens to Angelica at the end of the Rover?
At the end of the play, Angelica was knowing that Wilmore was not a real lover, or and he was also love for Helena, and Florinda, knowing these that Wilmore was not love, so she went out from that place.
So you are not
And
standing in the center. You have to see that you are in the center when you stand. Is it clear? You can see yourself there on the screen. You see you are sideways little bit. Are you able to see that? So come in the center. So that next day you that same thing we don't have to repeat while the live things are going. And all these things have to be learned. How to stand, how to face camera, and everything is to be seen also. Yes, next one. Tomorrow you will be first. I have changed the sequence. So follow the roll number as it is. Don't disturb the roll number according to the schedule that is given. That way only you have to do.
Hello everyone, I am Aarti Sarvaiya. Hello everyone, I am Aarti Sarvaiya. Today I am going to present on elements of Shakespearean tragedy with reference to his famous works. This is my introduction. Subtitles of my presentation about the playwright. William Shakespeare is one of the most famous authors in English literature and very known for his writing tragedy. He is a writer of Elizabethan age, and he is a well-known writer for writing tragedy. And he wrote at least 37 plays during his career. We can generally divide his works into three categories like comedy, tragedy, and history. In comedy, there 14 plays are comedy, uh, 12 are tragedy, and 11 are historical plays. Uh, Historical plays. Some considers Shakespeare's play Hamlet to be one of the best ever written. Hamlet is a very well known tragedy of him, and it is the longest tragedy of Shakespeare. Some of the most popular tragedies written by William Shakespeare, like Romeo Juliet, Macbeth, and King Lear. Othello is also the famous one tragedy written by William Shakespeare. Types of Shakespearean tragedy. There are two types of Shakespearean tragedy, like heart tragedy and head tragedy. Heart tragedy means a tragedy which focuses on love, marriage, and other things. Uh, we can say his Romeo and Juliet, Antony and Cleopatra, and Othello. These are the considered as a heart tragedy, and another is a head tragedy. Means in this tragedy, character is capable for free will and often has his positive traits overcome by ego. In this tragedy, uh, the main character or protagonist ego, jealousy, and other things are main and coming as a theme of the tragedy. And Othello and Cressida is considered as a head tragedy. Elements of Shakespearean tragedy. First element is a tragic hero. The tragic hero is usually the story's protagonist. He experiences overwhelming tragic events throughout the play. A tragic hero is in his tragedies. Tragic hero is a protagonist. Um, in his tragedy, the male character is mostly becomes the tragic hero. Female is becomes, but rarely. Tragic hero almost always die at the end of the play. In his most of the tragedies are we can see that at the end of the tragedy, at the end of the play, tragic hero or protagonist is becoming death. And these are, for example, Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, and etc. Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth are also a great tragedy of him, and at the end of the play, they are becomes died, and King Lear and Julius Caesar are also facing the same problem, conflict between good and evil. Characters in Shakespearean tragedy often have to make to make choices between good and evil. In his tragedies, we can see that a protagonist life has two options, that good and another is evil. Um, Being a good character does not guarantee one's survival in the tragedy, which often makes ending of the play so painful. We cannot say that if he chooses the good way, or he is a good character, then he faces the doesn't faces the tragedy, tragic end. Often, even a good character or taken a good path, they also faces the tragic end at the end. Um, like Othello is considered as a good protagonist, but at the end, Iago is Iago. Iago at the end of the play, he feels jealousy, and Iago made a plan and he becomes a success on that, and uh, du- uh, because of that, Othello faces a tragic end. Macbeth, in this Macbeth, in the Macbeth, he chooses the wrong way. That he chooses the wrong way to get their ambition. Uh, and King Lear, he also faces the same problem, that he want to do good in her life, but and his decision, but at the end he also fail in that. Fatal flaw and fatal mistake. Character flaw like greed and other weakness can lead to personal destruction, and fatal flaw like greed, ambition, jealousy, and other things are can be lead them to tragic end, or more commonly tragic hero make fatal mistakes, then that lead them down and a doomed path. uh, for example, Othello, Macbeth, King Lear, and Romeo Juliet. Most of his tragedy are considered are doing the fatal mistakes, not a fatal flaw. Some of the tragedy, like King Lear, Romeo and Juliet, that there is a fatal flaw, because when Juliet Juliet uh, acted to acted to lie or death, then Romeo is also Romeo feels that Juliet is dying. That's why he also become he also kill himself, and then after he faces the tragedy. Fourth is death and destruction. Tragedy almost always ends in the death and destruction, as opposed in comedy, which ends with marriages. We can see in our syllabus that tragedy are almost end with the tragic end uh, with the death of the protagonist, and comedy are almost end with marriages and uh, marriages. For example, Othello, Macbeth, King Lear, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar are facing uh, are also facing the death or in this tragedies, the tragic hero uh, tragic hero becomes the kill or murder or a death at the end of the tragedy. Fifth is fate and fortune. It is often strongly implied that the character's fate are outsider their control, giving their doom a sense of inevitability. In Macbeth, we can see this fate and fortune, because when he believes on prophecies, witches' prophecies, and doing the wrong thing, or murders to kill Duncan for getting his ambition. Uh, there we can see the fate or fortune of the tragic hero. Revenge. Many Shakespearean tragedy, but not all, involves the element of revenge. A character often threaten or kill one and another as an attempt to avenge those who are dead. Many of Shakespearean um, tragedy, Hamlet, uh, takes the Hamlet uh, in this tragedy. Hamlet takes the revenge against his uncle because his uncle murders his father and marry with his mother. That's why he takes the revenge against his uncle and killed him. Uh, and at the end, he also died. Uh, Character often threaten or kill one and another as an attempt to avenge those who are dead. In Othello, or Macbeth. There were also takes a revenge. In Macbeth, Banquo takes the in um, Macbeth. Malcolm Malcolm takes the revenge with Macbeth uh, because he lost his father, or Macbeth murders his father, King Duncan. That's why he takes the revenge. And seventh is supernatural element. Several of these plays, but not all, features prophecies, witches, vision, or ghost. In Macbeth, we can see the elements of prophecy and witches. And Julius Caesar, we also see the ghost of Julius Caesar, because in Julius Caesar, he Julius Caesar, a person who killed Julius Caesar, Julius Caesar. There at that time, after that, he also feel uh, guilt for that, or he guilt for that. That's why he also seems the ghost of Julius Caesar. Eight is internal pressure. A head tragedy is a story about a character whose ego or internal struggle causes his destruction. A lot of Shakespearean tragedy, a tragic hero experiences internal pressure that push them to act in destructive ways. Othello, Hamlet, and Macbeth. In these three tragedy, we can find the internal pressure, because in Othello, he feels jealousy or ego, ego for his wife, for his faithful wife. Um, at the end, he murders his wife for his ego or jealousy. In Macbeth, we can also see this same situation, because Macbeth committed or chooses the wrong way to get his ambition. At this time, we can also see the internal pressure, because he has also ambition for become a king, and then after a tragedy, which is also which is make the prophecy that he will become next king. That's why uh, he doing the he chooses that prophecy. External pressure. Some characters are pursued to destruction by external or more than or as much as internal ones, including other character or social structure that are working against the tragic hero. In Macbeth, we can see this element, that external pressure. He also has a ambition to be a king, but or uh, which is also making the made the prophecy. uh, but when he tells these things to he tells this thing to his wife, then his wife is also pressures him to be uh, for that he will become our next king. conclusion. At the end, we can say that Macbeth, the play, is also considered is elements of Shakespearean tragedy. Um, Macbeth also, or another also tragedies are considers or follows the elements or elements, and at the end we can say that through these elements which are followed by Shakespearean tragedy, we can find out the Shakespearean tragedy easily and differentiate his tragedy easily. These are the references, and thank you. Now, if you have any doubt or query, then you can ask me.
According to you, what is the fatal flaw of Romeo and Juliet?
Fatal flaw. Romeo and Juliet. In this, Romeo and Juliet tragedy, fatal flaw is like that. At the end, um, uh, Juliet doing the Juliet has a plan that Juliet and Romeo, that both families are opposite, and families are opposite, and they don't accept their love. That's why Juliet had made a plan that she doing a she acting that she is died, and then after uh, when he uh, he is an income that then after he meet Romeo. But when Romeo gets this news that Juliet is a death, or Juliet is no more, that then Romeo goes there, and he also kill himself, and that's kill his himself. And after when Juliet is over his plan, there he finds that Romeo is no more. That's why he also consider. That's why he also killed his herself.
Okay, my question is, according to you, how is Othello considered as a heart tragedy and head tragedy both?
In Othello, heart tragedy and heart tragedy. Heart tragedy in means that consider who tragedy in which considers love or other emotions, that heart tragedy. In Othello, when he meets Desdemona and love her and marries her, in that time we can find the heart. We can in that time we can find the love, emotion of love. That's why we can consider this as a heart tragedy and head tragedy. In that sense, at the end of the tragedy, uh, at the end of the tragedy. He kills his wife. He kills his wife. That's why, at that time he feels jealousy or ego type of sense emotions. That's why we can consider Othello in both of the types of tragedy. Thank you.
Am I audible? Okay. Okay. Very good noon to you all. I am Avani Jani, and today I'm going to discuss about the feminist and psychological reading of Lady Macbeth. Here is my personal information. Here is the definition of feminism. Uh, and when we use the term feminism, there come some words which is key premises against patriarchy, sex versus gender, cultural stereotyping, objectification, language and gender. Here is the character of Lady Macbeth. First, we can see the very first we can see that matriarchal influence upon the patriarchy. We can clearly see that without Lady Macbeth, ambition of a Macbeth could not be fulfilled. She exemplifies a progressive dramatic liberation of women. She reverses gender biases. While reading Macbeth, we can clearly see that uh, when uh, uh, when Macbeth was murdering Duncan, he feels nervousness, and he also feel very hyper. But on the other hand, Lady Macbeth feels very calm, and she considered the blood of Duncan is just a blood. So that's how we can see the reverse gender bias. Here is the famous dialogue of Lady Macbeth, which shows her power, her ambition to become more and more cruel. We can see that Lady Macbeth's character is totally different from other characters. There are two characters of woman in this play. One is so ambitious. She wants to. She does everything to gain her dreams, to achieve her dreams. On the other hand, there is a Lady Macbeth who is very busy in her married life. She is a very like woman who is holding her child and doing householding things. So we can see the difference and the contradiction of both ladies, Lady Macbeth and Lady Macduff. Her sexual conditioning allows her to ignore all the possible impediments to what she, as a woman, knows to be shameful. She wants to she wants to sacrifice her womanness, her womanhood, to achieve her dreams, to achieve her goal. She thinks that woman emotions can be burden, can be barrier to her dream and to her ambition. Terence Hawkins argues that reading Macbeth from a feminist perspective would produce a text crucially different from the one to which most of us are presently accustomed. Lady Macbeth and witches make the play more interesting. We can clearly say that without the prophecies of witches and without the provoking of Lady Macbeth to Macbeth, could not have led to the tragedy of Macbeth. So we can clearly see the role of witches and the role of Lady Macbeth in play Macbeth. Psychology of Lady Macbeth. It was not all at once or without a struggle that she arrived at this terrible resolution. We can clearly see that from the very starting, Lady Macbeth is not like this much cruel. She wears mask of cruelty. She tries to do everything. We can clearly see
this from the this dialogue. Come, you spirit that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here and fill me, from the crown to the top full of direst cruelty. She seeks cruelty to gain her goal. She wants to become more and more cruel just because her her woman emotions won't be barrier to her path. Here is the full dialogue. We can see as a wife she is a very familiar and a person she is a very familiar with the personality of my Macbeth. She knows Macbeth very well, so that's why she points out, she triggers point of Macbeth and provokes him to do such crimes. She wished to throw whole weight of her influence into the opposite scale. She is not like very calm, and she is not that much cruel. We can see she turns herself into cruelty. She wears mask of cruelty, and she is not able to carry bloody burden. At the end we can clearly see that she is passing a sleepless nights. She suffered silently and alone, while we can see Macbeth is doing his another murders, and lots of tragedies were happening there. But Lady Macbeth was all alone during her depression and that dilemma. She suffered silently and alone. Her journey is all between confusion of thoughts and moral conception. As I mentioned earlier that she is not like that. She wear masks of cruelty. So there is a confusion of thoughts and moral conception. We can see that from these two dialogue, she was calm during the crime. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures, these the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. A little water clears us of this deed. How easy it then. She says that it is just a blood, we can clear it with little water. But after that, in her sleepless nights, she feels that all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten her little hand. So we can clearly see that tiny drops of blood has lots of impact on the character of Lady Macbeth. If there were no sleepwalking scene, no representation of her as a bowed under the weight of her woes, she would have been no woman but a demon. The tragedy demands sleepwalking scene of Lady Macbeth. If she was not doing so, so that she would be considered as a demon, as no woman. So that is how Lady Macbeth's characters worked during the play of Macbeth. We can clearly see that Lady Macbeth's character make play more and more interesting. With the feminist perspective, we can. I personally believe that. Macbeth is believing in prophecies. On the other hand, Lady Macbeth was trying to do all the planning of the murder of Duncan. So this is how we can see the masculinity and patriarchy, and winning a matriarchy against the patriarchy. So this is how Lady Macbeth character plays vital role in the play Macbeth. Here is my citation of the work. You can contact me on this. Is there any question?
Okay, yes, waiting for the questions. To be a little bit fast, it takes some time in displaying the question. So before it ends, okay, Archana is asking here. Okay. Yes, Archana.
No, Lady Macbeth is not responsible for the tragic end of the play. The mindset of Macbeth, the ambition of Macbeth leads to the tragedy. We can see that Lady Macbeth and the witches are just a medium to create the tragedy. So tragedy is not by the Lady Macbeth. I personally believe. Is
Yes, let your question display. Unmute yourself, and then you have to ask. Okay. Anjali is asking. Anjali, who Aarti? Yes, Aarti. Let your question come. Have you commented? Yes, still you're not learning from the experience. You know that it takes time in displaying. So little bit earlier, by the time the conclusion is going on, you have to be ready with your question. And we expect you to type it so that we can see if you are making any grammatical errors in writing the question. It has not come yet. Aarti, your question.
No questions.
No, still, where is your question? I'm not able to see. Is there a question coming on the screen? This is what you all have to learn, huh? So that we don't have to tell the same thing to everybody, that how the system works. So we are wasting time when you are not listening the instructions properly and not doing accordingly. So to everybody we have to tell the same thing. Still it is not there. See, now you're, is it posted? Have you commented? Why is it not coming still then? Is it done properly? At a proper place, right place have you done, or are you seeing other comments there where you have commented? Other students' comments. Okay, now it is there. Okay, now you can ask. Unmute and ask.
in the end, what result does she, means Lady Macbeth, find for her cruel behavior? Obviously, death. She has been. She made her death very cruelly. Suicide of the cause of her death. So we. So it is considered as the most bad death in history. So she died at that. Thank you.
We get the next speaker here. The next one, you can get ready. Uh, One or two observations from last presentation. Many of you have done a good citation and good resources cited. In the last one, which is again for everybody, not only for Avni, but for everybody. You are, if you also make this kind of mistake, then you also can have a look at it. Okay? So in your citations, are you seeing the screen I am sharing? Is it displayed on the, yeah, okay. Okay, now this Naranjo Esther that you have cited two times. So there is no need to cite them two times. Only once you have to cite. Then you have referred to a very good article from Gestor that is written by Robert Munro. Robert Munro's article. But citation is not proper. In citation, what we see is the Journal of Speculative Philosophy. What should come there is the topic of or title of the research paper. So when I searched this, I found that you have referred to this article. This article you have referred to. The title of the article is Lady Macbeth, colon, a psychological sketch. That is, so that title should be reflected. And Gestor is automatically giving you the format of citation. It is automatically giving you this citation. So when you see that, when you are on this web page, at the top you see their site. I have put a cursor there if you are able to see. Okay? So once you click on site, you will get this MLA. You just have to copy and use it. So that is the benefit of using sources from Gestor or a good journal catalog. You can easily get the citation material from this. So Munro Robert, into double inverted commas, Lady Macbeth, a psychological sketch, and then details about the journal is given. That can be followed. Okay? But it is a good article and good source is cited in this. Okay, next one now. Yes. So when you are going through the things, also see what problems you are facing, so that next day you can overcome all these problems. If you try to do multitasking, then your system will not work because the systems are not very powerful. That it will allow, it will snap, it will break down. Once you are live, it requires lots of resources in working. So many of you are time and again getting disconnected. Yeah, unmute first there. So later on you don't have a problem. Yes, there still it is not unmuted. Okay? Once you will start sharing and then unmute, it will again you have to come out of that.
Hello everyone, my name is Bhavyata Kukadiya. Today I am going to present. The presentation name is Absalom and Achitophel as a political satire. The Absalom and Achitophel poem was written by John Dryden. Yes. કઈ રીતે? Audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Uh, Hello, good afternoon. Today I am presenting a presentation of Absalom and Achitophel as a political satire, which was written by John Dryden in 1681. Here is here are my personal information. Introduction of the poem. The poem Absalom and Achitophel was written by John Dryden in 1681. It is about rebellion of it is about the rebellion of Absalom against his father King Charles, King David. Absalom and Achitophel poem criticized the government of King Charles and Whig party and also promotes a Tory party. In this poem, Dryden paints the picture in a manner the public wants and yet satirizes the ruling party. About writing style of Dryden, uh, Dryden was a restoration age of poet. Dryden was uh, writing in a political way. His many works are in politics. Dryden, Dryden's most of work in political satire. He defended constitutional monarchy, which seems rightful for England. Dryden loved satire, a political party very much, and he would describe things in a manner where people find it as an appearance while it is structuring. During situation of Dryden's time, Dryden was a restoration writer or poet. When Dryden, the ruler king was Charles II and James II. He has described his political view in his work. Anglican and Catholic views are represented in two works, Religio Lacey and the Hind and the Panther. These are two works of Dryden, which he writes political way. Also, one scholar say that sufficiently alive to describe the working constitution of the government of the United States. He began his career. He supported constitutional monarchy. John Dryden, representation of restoration politics in Absalom and Achitophel, where he excused Bill, Whig and Tory party in represent James II and Charles II. The smoothness, the numbers, and the terms of heroic poetry. Uh, this is the way how he writes in his works. Elevation of the style is most evident when a speech is to be introduced. A Miltonic description of the temptation, the unusual arrangement of the word make it heroic. In his work, characters such as Cora and Shimmer are described. The style is according lower. Dryden referred to devil who induced Adam and Eve eat from apple tree. The same devil, Achitophel, who in, induced Absalom to revolt against his father. Um, uh, in the same devil who lured James, the Duke of Monmouth, to revolt against his father, King Charles II. We can compare this Absalom and Achitophel, a poem of John Dryden, in modern time. We can see in a news channel there are many news channels or news channels and reporters who are telecast sides of ruling party uh, and being a civilization of democratic nation, we still have to think twice before speaking anything against the political parties. We have a double standards prevalent in our society where a campaign initiated by a political party is being debated upon, even if for the betterment, political parties prefer their winning argument over the welfare of civil lines as well. We can compare this Hindu scripture and equivocal language in the scene of Mahabharata, when Ashwatthama, whose name elephant, whose name also Ashwatthama, during war with manipulate language, it is announced that Ashwatthama, the son of Guru Dronacharya, is martyred. As a result, he puts it guards and down, and hence is pierced with arouse, taking his life. In the second example of the during 2014, in one news channel, we can see Rahul Gandhi uh, call our prime minister चौकीदार इज अ चोर. प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने 2014 के प्रचार में लोगों से बार बार वादा किया था कि वो इस पद पर चौकीदार बनकर रहेंगे, प्रधानमंत्री सेवक बनकर रहेंगे. राहुल गांधी ने चौकीदार चोर का नारा लगाया और राफेल से लेकर नीरव मोदी और विजय माल्या के भागने पर ये शोर मचा. दिस इज अ न्यूज ऑफ वन न्यूज चैनल. In this news channel, Rahul Gandhi said that चौकीदार चोर है. We can compare this situation to Absalom and Achitophel poem. Satirical poetry in political context. During the corona pandemic, despite of having better facilities than other developing nations, we still had piles of dead bodies and hospital beds full of patients, resulting in endurance of the progress of the nation. Here is my cited work. Now you can ask me a question if you have.
Okay, who is asking the questions? Okay, Avani is asking the question. Yes, you can ask.
Do you think that Dryden is famous because of his satirical works?
His many works are satire. The Absalom and Achitophel is also satiric one. But when political way, we can see in this also poem, Absalom and Achitophel. In this poem contains several brilliant satire portraits, but unlike satire is uh, canvas to a final tragic revolution. In this satire, end of the this poem, uh, uh, Dryden not end of the this poem, not stay in a political way. This little bit of tragic resolution in his final poem, and even.
What is the connection of Narendra Modi with the poem Absalom and Achitophel?
Not Narendra Modi, but the situation during this time, we can connect situation to this Absalom and Achitophel poem, not a perfect a person of Narendra Modi. Thank you.
Am I visible? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joshi, and I'm going to present about John Dryden as a satirist. This is my personal information. So, here is points to ponder. Introduction. After that, historical background of the age. John Dryden as a satirist. His satirical work. Example of recent time satire and conclusion. Introduction. According to Archana, nearly everybody is a satirist in a small way. The schoolboy who writes rude words to a teacher, and the comedian who does a lifelike imitate on the prime minister, and other person who imitate by a comedian is also a satire. And even you and I, we both are the satirist. Sitting in the pub or a coffee bar, we all are satire. The real satire is different from most of us, both in the strength of his feelings and having the wit and genuineness of expression in the novel or the play, and the poem also. He must have some of the qualities of moralities and the preachers. The great English lexicography, Samuel Johnson. Lexicography means who write dictionaries. Samuel Johnson's defines satire as a poem in which weakness or folly is in center. This called satire. Historical background of the age. We all know that Dryden is belong to the Restoration age. The Restoration of the in Restoration age, the three most famous events happened. The restoration of the year 1660 and the Roman Catholic controversy, the rage during the latter half of Charles II's reign, and the revolution of the year 1688. This picture shows the satirist of the Restoration period in literature. In this picture, the picture named that Tidy Dole, the great French gingerbread baker. In this picture, we clearly say that the bread baker who baked bread. In this picture, we clearly see that the bread is made in such a way that shows the king's monument, or we can say the figure of kings. And in the Restoration age, the satirist who satire on kings and monarchs, John Dryden, 1631, and died in 1700. John Dryden was an influential English poet, literary critic, and a translator and a playwright who dominated the literature life of Restoration England to such a point that the period came to be known in the literary circle as the Age of the Dryden. He called the father of English criticism. and who was appointed England first poet laureate in 1668. Dryden lost his post of poet laureate and historical grapher royal. He is also appointed as the poet laureate in the region of Charles II, and he is known as the royalist satire. This picture, the age of Dryden, the restoration began in 1660. First picture shows the restoration of Charles II. After that, the comparison to the previous period, the period's literature was not very passionate. After that, from the head, not the heart. John Dryden said that from the head, not the heart. Satirist work or satirist who does satire, they didn't do satire by their heart, they do satire by their heads. In this picture, Dryden want to say that several writers use satire in their writing during the restoration. Its purpose is to ridicule one's enemy. Who writes satire, they only wants to ridicule another person's work or their enemies. His satirical work. Dryden, the poet, is best known today as a satirist, although he wrote only two great original satire. First is Macbeth and the poem Absalom and Achitophel. The famous Absalom and Achitophel, the poem is also a political satire. Example from recent time satire. I took the example of recent time satirist. We all know he is a great satirist, Shashi Tharoor, and I took his work, The Great Indian Novel, as a satirical work. The Great Indian Novel is a satirical novel by Shashi Tharoor, first published by Viking Press in 1989. It is a fictional work that takes the story of the Mahabharata, the Indian epic, and the recast and resets in it the context of the Indian independence movement. In the novel, Great Indian Novel, the title of the novel is Great Indian Novel, and in that novel, Shashi Tharoor took the history of independence movement. In that movement, Shashi Tharoor put the Mahabharat figures as the independence warriors, or we can say the Indian independence peoples. He has adopted different narratives like satire, poon, parody, irony, humor, and comedy. Among these techniques, satire and parody are the dominating modes of the Great Indian Novel. The works included numerous puns and illusion of famous work about India, such as those by Rudyard Kipling, Port Scott, and E.M. Forster. This is a work cited, and thank you so much. If you have any question, then you can ask. Yeah. Yes. What? John Dryden's work, Absalom and Achitophel. This poem is based on political satire, and in contemporary situation, we can see that political parties, or we can say that the political background we belongs to, it is very dominating people and youth of this time. So I think the political satire of the John Dryden is very famous, and he is very good satirist, and he write very good satire in Absalom and Achitophel. Anyone? Oh.
Yes, sir, I'm asking question, but network issues are there. can we connect Absalom and Achitophel as satire of contemporary time also?
Yes, as I told earlier, that in this situation or after Corona or Corona pandemic, we say that the political parties or political background is very dominating, and in Absalom and Achitophel is also told about us about that the politicians and political. Conflict, or we can say a son who killed a father, and in contemporary situation that happened earlier, that one father killed her daughter, and that is another we can say that subject is another things that he believe in rituals and all that. But I see that the contemporary situation is very political, we can say that very what I said, very conflicting and all this. So I can think that we can relate these things with contemporary situation. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I am Gayatri Nimavat. Today my topic is Hamartia. This is my personal information, and I am dealing with the topic is are the introduction, then definition of Hamartia, and some examples of Hamartia, like Hamartia of Macbeth, Hamartia of Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, and Oedipus the King. So first we see the introduction that Hamartia is a key aspect of the tragic hero. That tragedy is starting by the positive one, but at the end of tragedy we find the tragic death of tragic hero, and that situation is caused by some tragic flaw, and that is the mistake of hero, and that is known as hamartia. That hamartia is also known as the tragic flaw. The tragic flaw is something very bad in a tragic hero which causes a tragedy and makes the hero deserve what happens to him. Then the definition of hamartia. The first is a Greek word which given by Aristotle in his Aristotle's Poetic, and which means mistake of fact, and that also called tragic flaw. In Greek, hamartianein is also mean to err or to error of judgment. And Aristotle tried to describe that if any hero is too much honest, then we never feel pity or fear for him. If readers or audience feel pity and fear, then it causes a tragedy. But at the starting of the tragedy, hero as a nobleman, a noble ranker, and at the death of at the end of tragedy, we find that whose misfortune is not brought about by villainy but by some error of judgment. And this imperfect letter came to be interpreted as a moral flaw or tragic flaw. We have so many examples of hamartia, like Othello's jealousy, Hamlet's indecisiveness, Macbeth's ambition, Antony's irresponsibility, King Lear's love for fluttering, and Oedipus' wrongdoing. And then after discussing the definition of hamartia, we find such figures like hamartia is came from the Aristotle's work Poetics, and hamartia means an error of judgment, tragic flaw, fact or circumstances. And the example of modern hamartia is Othello, and the example of ancient hamartia is Oedipus. And we find that in hamartia the hero is a mere puppet. He was doing nothing, or he is doing nothing, but by some situation he have to be in tragic flaw. Then we will see some example of hamartia. Then first, hamartia of Macbeth. Macbeth's hamartia is his ambition. At the starting of the play, Macbeth was a perfectly honest and admitted that Duncan is a great king, and he was a kind and noble man who awarded by Duncan also. But by receiving some prophecies, in prophecies, Macbeth got that he will become Thane of Cawdor, and then the king of Scotland thereafter. And by this prophecy, he became more and more ambitious, and this particular situation became his hamartia. After because of this too much ambitiousness lead to his tragic end. He don't want to doing anything, but by his ambition he have to do it. He have to kill Duncan, and his for his ambition he had killed so many characters in Macbeth. Then the hamartia of Hamlet, that Hamlet's hamartia was indecisiveness or thinking too much. If he didn't thinking too much, then the tragedy would have been avoided. Is ridiculous and leaves out of account his many swift and indeed often brutal actions. If we see on the character of Hamlet, that we see that he killed Claudius without more ado, tragedy would have been avoided. If he didn't think too much over to kill Claudius, then the tragedy would have been avoided. And the hamartia of Othello. Othello's hamartia was jealousy. He has a very beautiful, very charming wife out of all men on his time. But his jealousy that enable him to be tricked and allow him to create his own tragic end. He create his tragic end by his own self, that his jealousy become more and more powerful than his real self. He is a good man at the starting of the play, but at the end, by the villain character, that is Iago, by Iago he was tricked too much, and he killed her lovely, fair, and charming wife Desdemona. He was a Negro man, but still he has a charming and beautiful wife Desdemona. But by his jealousy, he enabled to tricked by so many people, and this create his own end. Then hamartia of King Lear. His hamartia was pride and love flattery, that he loves flattery more than the other things. If someone is flattering him, then he will give him everything. and the result, he has three daughters, and two are cunning and one is loyal. He decided that he gave his reign to in between three daughters. Then two daughters flattering him too much, and then King Lear gave his all reign to these two daughters, and this particular thing became his hamartia, his pride and love for flattery. Love of flattery him leads him to the end of his life. Then the hamartia of Oedipus the king. Oedipus the king is the greatest Greek tragedy, and his hamartia is unintended wrongdoing. That at the starting of the novel, Oedipus was very good man. Till the death, he was good. Till the end, he was good. But by his unintended wrongdoing, he don't want to do anything wrong. But his misfortune or his destiny want to do it. His excessive pride, hastiness, and anger, his ultimate downfall come with a series of unfortunate misjudgments that are made as he continuously aimed to do the right thing. If he don't be eager to know everything, then the tragic death wouldn't become. Then he kills his own father and married to his own mother. That is the tragic end of his life, and this caused by his unintended wrongdoing. So at the end, we can say that in a sense, Aristotle is trying to sit on a fence. He want to tragic hero who is neither very good nor very bad. Hamartia comes into provides the fence to sit on so that Aristotle can satisfy his concept of the emotional effect of a tragic plot, his moral sense, and his feeling that there must be necessity in the tragic causation. This is my citation. Thank you. If you have a question, then now you can ask.
Bhavyata's question is there. So first,
Yes, I have question. Um, how you can say that ununited wrongdoing is Oedipus's hamartia?
Or Oedipus, the king's hamartia is unintended wrongdoing. He want to do good things with people, but he can't do anything with his destiny. His destiny write for him everything. At the starting, he was noble and kind, but if we see at the end of the play that he kills his own father and married to his own mother, if he know that his real parent is, then he will never kill his own father and never will never marry to his own mother. That all is doing unintended. Another.
Yes, Gayatri. How would you use Hamartia in contemporary time?
Marsha, in contemporary time, uh, we have so many. If we see it in real life, then there is something in every character. People are not clear about their goal, or they are not clear about their aim, that what he want to do or they want to do. But after we see it in the life of people are doing wrong things. They don't know what is going on and what they want to do, and at the end it will become the tragedy of their life or of people. Thank you.
audible? Visible? Okay. So, hello everyone. My topic of presentation is witchcraft and supernatural belief. My name is Katariya Ghanshyam. This is my personal information. Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a playwright who knew his audience. Like when he wrote Macbeth, he knew the uh, common people of England, the folk, his audience, uh, what type of belief they had. Even so when he wrote Macbeth, he also in his play, major portion was about witches. It reflects the common people of that time, that what type of belief they had, and most of the people believed in witchcraft and supernatural elements. Some illness comes, they blame to the witches. Death and disaster comes, they blame to the witches. If and they have a nightmare, they blame to witches. Even the King James VI of Scotland was also the believer of the witchcraft, and in 1604 he also made the witchcraft as a capital offense, and the punishment was execution, which is in Macbeth. How the Shakespeare displays the witches. The witches that Shakespeare represents are they are like most of the people believe that witches harm animals. They have powers to control the elements and create like a hurricane, or also control the winds, and they, in their spells, they also uses gruesome ingredients, body parts. The language of the witches are also different and mysterious, that we can that anyone convinced that they are different from others, or the otherworldly. The witches of the Shakespeare uh, uh, speak the language that have they speak in verse, but their words are different from the other characters. Like other characters uses uh, iambic couplet, but the witches uses tragic, the most of the character, when they speak verse, they first untrace and then trace the syllable, but which is first trace the syllable and then untrace. So it is very different from the other character that make them different. Also, the witches use full of numbers in their speech. We can see here that thrice to thine and thrice to mine and thrice again to make up nine. They also There is also like seven nights, nine time nines, that also represent word numbers. uh, and the witches also are three, and many times they reflect that number three in their speech, that when they speak, they sometimes speak thrice, and also there are three that also reflects that Holy Trinity was the God as a Father, God as a King, and God as a Son. But here there are three witches that makes the unholy Trinity. And also they held Macbeth three times, and they consider that three is somewhat a number of bad luck. Belief of a supernatural in 16th century. So in the King James was where was a believer of witchcraft, and he also write a book about witchcraft and how to identify witches, and that was demonology, and it was published in 1597, and also published in London in England in 1603. One of Queen Elizabeth's courtiers, Sir Walter Raleigh, described witches as a woman controlled by the devil. So at that time, they believed that witches give their soul and loyalty to the devil for the sake of the powers that they gain. But in counter, Reginald Scott, uh, in his discovery of witchcraft, he said that most of the accused of the witchcraft were just women with a mental illness or the con artist, and was not that real. But most of the people believed in witchcraft highly. Historical events about witches. So these two events that took place. First is a Trier witch hunt that took place in Western Germany in 1581 to the 1593, and leads to the death of 368 peoples, and was the largest witch hunt in history. And other is the famous one, the Salem witch trials. This is the very famous uh, event of history that most of the people who knows about witch trial and this type of things, they know about Salem witch trials that took place in 1692 to 1693, and 200 people were accused and prisoned for the practicing of witchcraft, and uh, from that 20 people were executed. Superstitions in modern time. So it's not that there is only in a past where believer of witchcraft, in a modern time also, and also in India are believers of this type of superstitious, like the National Crime Record Bureau presented data in 2020 that 15 women were murdered on allegation of witchcraft. And also in Assam, a 45-year-old woman was killed by mob for the practicing of witchcraft. So it is also uh, that in modern time we are there is a people that believe in such a thing. This is my work cited. And this quote that also represent the irony to the last slide, that Sir Walter Scott write his this in his the grandfather's tale, the Scottish history, that nobody will believe such a folly nowadays except low and ignorant preachers such as those who consult gypsies on in order to have their fortune tell. So it also represents the irony to the last slide, that we see that even in modern time there are believers of such a thing. Thank you. Now you can ask me a question. very different. That they use numbers more in
In today's time, supernatural belief is still exists.
Yes, there is a still that exists that in the recent event of Talala that a father killed his 14-year child in a want of a son by practicing the black magic or witchcraft that we can say. So it's also said we can say that there are still people who believe in such a things. Think.
Okay, by the time they gets ready, let me share screen. In the last presentation, we had seen like this was the last one. Ghanshyam has made this presentation, and he has used very good combination of graphic. So according to your theme, you have to choose the color of the screen, font also, design also, everything you can select accordingly. So in all the slides were very well prepared. So you can see graphic and the text had a good combination. So simple, very decent also. All the slides look decent. So it doesn't become very gaudy, very colorful. So according to the theme, it looks good. So all the slides. So try to follow this example there when you so find your theme and use that theme in all your slides. Yes, now you can share from there.
Share, share.
Am I visible and audible? Uh, Hello, dear friends. Hello, dear friends. I am Gopi Dervaliya. Today, I am going to present the topic women in the rover. This is my personal information. So, first of all, about the author. The first English woman to make a living from her writing, Afra Ben, worked in multiple genres as a celebrated playwright, novelist, and poet. Though Ben worked in many genres, she was best known in the 17th century for her plays. Her work became popular during England's Restoration from 1660 to 88. Ben died on 16 April 1689, a year after writing Oronuko. Uh, this is her famous works, The Rover, The Townfolk, The Young King, and The Dutch Rover. The Rover is a comedy in two parts, subtitled The Banished Cavaliers. Part 1 of The Rover was published in 1677 and Part 2 was published in 1681. The play follows English cavaliers as they travel through Madrid and Naples, falling in and out of love as they go along. The play was written by Afra Ben, who was the first English woman on record to have been a professional writer. She wrote dramas, fiction, and poetry. The Rover is one of her most commercially successful plays. Women in the Rover. The Rover was written around 1677 by a female playwright in the Restoration era, Afra Ben. The Rover is a satire on contemporary society, which boldly portrays the theme of love, marriage, sex, and emancipation of women from male oppression. In the drama, virgin love, marriage, courtship, prostitution, violence, and resistance are experienced by women because of the prevailing gender business. They are always suppressed, discriminated, and commodified in the patriarchal English society.
women are facing various sort of problems in contemporary English society. Protagonist Florinda is the only pure and innocent young woman in the play. Similarly, the life of Helena is also limited in the patriarchal authority. She has also suffered from the male ideology. In the play, The Rover, women are not allowed to go to celebrate and independence and freedom in the carnival. They have forbidden by their brother to go out, although he is free to go himself. Ben herself is a female writer. Due to female, she raises the question against patriarchal domination. She wants release to the women from the domination of patriarchal authority and suppression. Afra went through the stories of Florinda, Helena, and Angelica, incorporates strong aspects of feminism and libertinism by focusing on issue of marriage, self-identity, and representation. Although the two main characters, Florinda and Helena, do subvert patriarchal authority, but throughout the play, they only define themselves in patriarchal terms. They are aware of their limits and know that they have limited options. Virgin and Wars. In the play The Rover, we see Helena and Angelica competing for Wilmore's love. Helena and Angelica have a lot of points in common, but the notable discordance between them. Helena is madly in love with Wilmore, and Angelica is enamored of him that she finds his power too strong to be resisted. Women of quality. Women like Helena, Florinda, and Valeria, whose sexuality is a commodity for the society, are the ladies of quality. Their chastity is attached to their fathers and brothers. A woman is always supposed to remain caged or under the guardianship of a male character. Angelica was not what was defined as an ideal woman during the Restoration period. Even though Florinda and Helena challenged the patriarchy, they still adhered to the patriarchal limitations of chastity and virginity, which makes them the ideal women for the male characters. The play demonstrates a woman's struggle for her right to freely choose what man she wants to marry or what she chooses to do in her life. Florinda is forced to marry Don Vincentio by her father or her brother's friend Antonio, but she wants to get married to Belleville. Florinda feels overjoyed at the thought of being free to shape her own life by going against the ill customs of the society. When she and Helena plan an intrigue to seek her love at the carnival, her running away from home reveals her revolting spirit. Likewise, Helena is advised to coop up into a nunnery, but she wants to love the man of her choice. This is my citation. Thank you. If you have any question, then you can ask me.
According to you, which women are portrayed as women of quality in Rover and why?
According to me,
Now you ask. Unmute and ask.
According to you, which women are portrayed portrayed as women of quality in the Rover and why?
According to me, um, in the play, The Rover, um, women like Helena, Florinda, and Valeria are as a women of quality in The Rover because uh, uh, they three women are um, because they three women are uh, not women of quality in the Rover. So three women are portrayed as women of quality in this play.
So at least when you reply, you have eye contact with the people. See at the you don't see at the screen when you answer. Again, everybody, not only her, but at least at that time you try to have your eye contact with the students. Not no need to read the screen when you answer. So don't look down in the screens when you reply the answers.
My question is, who represents woman best, Helena or Florinda?
Helena and Florinda, uh, both are represent women best because Helena is uh, Helena is women of quality, and Florinda is also women of quality in this play, The Rover. So both are based in the Rover.
Am I visible and audible? Now, am I audible and visible? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the first day of our presentation, and my topic is Concept of Ambition in William Shakespeare's play Macbeth. This is my personal information that you can see here. These are some important points which I am going to present in my entire presentation that you can read here. So, let's begin with the introduction about the playwright William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was an English poet, playwright, and an actor. His lifespan was from 1564 to 1616. He has a marvelously imaginative and creative mind. Shakespeare was trained first as an actor, second as a reviser of old plays, and last as an independent dramatist. Of his life in London from 1587 to 1611, the period of his greatest literary activity. Shakespeare's dramas are usually divided into three genres. They are tragedies, comedies, and historical plays. He worked with other playwrights and learned their secrets. William Shakespeare, an important literary figure during the Elizabethan era. He important figure during the Elizabethan era. Widely regarded as the greatest writer in English language and world's great dramatist. Shakespeare was William Shakespeare was a magnificent genius and mystery, both figure of both magnificent genius and mystery. Goethe, in his William J. Long book, stated about William Shakespeare that I do not remember that any book or person or event in my life ever made so great impression upon me as the plays of Shakespeare. This quotation is stated by Goethe about William Shakespeare in the history book of William J. Long. About the play Macbeth. Macbeth, in full title, The Tragedies of Macbeth, is a tragedy written by William Shakespeare. It is the shortest of Shakespeare's tragedies and the second shortest of all his plays. Macbeth is a story of crime and punishment. It is a play about the race of man and his life in time. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth both elect to cut themselves loose from moral purpose. This play includes supernatural extensions also. So here we can understand that Macbeth is a tragedy written by William Shakespeare. It first published in the first folio edition in the year 1623. This play divided into 5 acts. Shakespeare's play Macbeth is mostly based on ambition and power. And we all are aware about the great play of Shakespeare's Macbeth. Here, is ambition good or bad? Here, I have taken the reference of one image that I never said ambition was a good, ambition was a bad thing, and we have to understand that is ambition good or bad. But according to me, it depends on a person's individual thinking. That is ambition good or bad? Because if we will use it in a positive way, then it is good, but if we will use it in a negative way, then it becomes bad for us. Ambition in reference of the play Macbeth. Macbeth is a tragedy of ambition. It deals with Macbeth's ambition to be a king of Scotland. Macbeth is an ambitious man lusting for power who wants to get a high position. He easily gets influenced by the prophecies of the three witches because their evil forces are too strong, and these evil forces have taken root in the mind of Macbeth. Lady Macbeth is also intensely as ambitious as her husband, and Macbeth has fulfilled his great ambition in a wrong way. So, in William Shakespeare's play Macbeth, we can understand that the main theme is about ambition and power. The main protagonist, Macbeth, who wants to become a king of Scotland, and he fulfilled his great ambition in a wrong way. So, here we can connect the theme of ambition in a wrong way or in a negative perspective. Relation with cinema. So in this I have taken the reference of the movie Happy New Year, which was directed by Farah Khan. It was the movie of the year 2014. In that movie we can understand that Shah Rukh Khan robbed the diamond to take revenge, but the path that he chose was immoral, and but still because it is a film, we think that Shah Rukh Khan has done the right thing, and he portrayed as a hero in that particular film. But likewise in the play Macbeth, the protagonist Macbeth also chooses the wrong path to fulfill and to achieve his ambition of becoming a king of Scotland. But in that we are criticizing Macbeth, but in the opposite way, in the film of Happy New Year, we don't criticize Shah Rukh Khan because we think that he had done that thing for a good cause. So that is how we can connect the ambition of Macbeth with the ambition of Shah Rukh Khan, but to fulfill their ambition, both chooses the wrong path. Here I have cited one quotation by Judy Smith that the ambition and focus that propel you to success can also be your downfall. Means ambition will not only lead to your success, but it becomes disastrous and downfall also. But it depends on us that what we think about ambition. Our way of looking at ambition in modern time. We will connect the theme of ambition in the contemporary time, that ambition helps in structuring the life of individuals. It plays a vital role in human life, and ambition is the foundation of success. As now we can understand that in modern times, if someone is not ambitious, we told them that have some ambition, because ambition is always good for some kind of motivation. So we used to tell people that have some ambition in your life and be ambitious. But here two questions arise in our mind, that is ambition wise or virtue, and to be an ambitious one is a right thing or not. So I will answer the first question, that is ambition vice or virtue. So it depends on the thinking of the person, that if we will use it in a right way, then it is a virtue. But if we will choose the wrong path to fulfill it, and if it leads to negativity, selfishness and ego, then it becomes a vice for us. So it depends on the thinking of individual. To be an ambitious one is a right thing or not? Yeah, to be an ambitious one is the right thing. We have to become ambitious, because some amount of motivation is good for ambition. But when it starts to lead negativity, selfishness and ego, and then it becomes problematic for all the human lives. So in that way, we need to think about it. And in conclusion, I would like to say that ambition and to be an ambitious person, both are the good things, but only in a positive manner or positive way, not in a negative sense. Here are my work citation. Uh, if now you have any doubt or question, you can ask me.
So who is asking questions? Yes, Gopi, where are you sitting?
Yes.
According to you, how Macbeth is a play of the race of man and his life in the time.
Yes, that that Macbeth, I mean, don't want to kill King Duncan, but after he received the prophecies of three witches, and when his wife, Lady Macbeth, also starts persuading him about that you have to become a king, and if you want to do it, then you have to kill King Duncan. All these things happen, and in that way, Macbeth is a story about the race of man and his life in the time. Anyone else?
How do you see ambition, as a good or a bad aspect of it?
Okay. So, as I have told in my presentation, that it depends on us. It depends on our thinking. That if we will choose right path, then it good for us. But if we will choose the wrong path to fulfill, to achieve our ambition, and I mean, it is good for our sake. But when it is problematic for others, then we should not do it in that way. So it depends on person's thinking. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, let me give a quick feedback. A few things we have already discussed in between also, and a few things let me say. So maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we will have improvements. First, Anjali. So first we'll have now the order according to roll number that you remember. Aarti will start tomorrow, but that will be roll number one. Tomorrow we'll have reverse order. The last one will be the first presenter, and the other side of the students will be asking questions. So that will be the reverse order there. But roll number I have changed in the spreadsheet. That way we'll have to move on. Okay, Anjali presented first one on death be not proud. This presentation had lots of text only, text content, and as we have seen in many of the presentation, and you also might have seen, that you have to make a combination of text and image and original quotes also from the texts. Try to connect it with something outside syllabus also, as many of you have done, connecting with either film or other literary text or contemporary happenings. That is very important. So don't only talk about what is in the syllabus, but also try to connect with the contemporary happenings also. Citation, some of you have done very good work in citation. Some of you still have a problem in preparing it. You gave good answers, the questions that were asked, but you were able to give good answers to the questions that were asked to you. Archana presented on thematic study of the rover. Slides were good. Image text combination was well made. Example from the films were also integrated. And citation alphabetical order was good in your slides. Most of you have not integrated sources very well. So for that, what you need to do, those who have done everything proper, alphabetical order is there. You have put parentheses also, like Ghanshyam has used parentheses in text citation, that also is there. But still you are not getting full score, because when you are citing somebody, you have to use that person's name and say that as so and so person has said in this article, you make an argument. That way, that is called exceptionally well integrated. And then somebody else is saying something else, so you use that so and so person has said this thing in that. So that becomes so using parentheses is good, but within the text, in your arguments also, you use the names of those critics. You get full score in the second last criteria, that is in our rubric. But still it is good. For the first semester, what you have done, that also is very good. Aarti presented on Shakespearean tragedies. In your citation, you used one source from Magad University. Reference was used there. But the name you have not used. When you find a name of the person, it will always go last name in alphabetical order. So that is very important thing, the last name. So you have to find the name, and then only you have to use that source. Connect something with the outside of the syllabus also. Sources that you have referred, the other sources, they were of good quality also. Many of you have done that. Referring to Gestor, you are able to reach to qualitative resources. Avani also made a very good presentation on the feminist reading of Lady Macbeth. Good slides were there. Quotes were used in the slides. Text, quotes, images were used. Good reference to Gestor articles were there. We had discussed one citation problem that was there. So how we can do that also we have seen. Gestor is already giving. So go to the original source. So when you Google, you find many other places also where things are given. But always go to where originally it is published. That is more reliable than what other people are doing that. Only if you are not able to reach to the original source, you have to rely on secondary sources. Otherwise, always try to reach to the original place where it was initially published. Bhavyata presented on Absalom and Achitophel as a satire. Good connect you have tried to bring with the contemporary happenings. Poem also you have referred, and some contemporary jibes in the parliament that also you have referred. And also answered also very well the question. The question when you ask, you have to see this also, that the question should come from the presentations, not like randomly anything. Like you were lost somewhere and suddenly you realize that, well, you have to ask a question. So what was the topic? Tell me something about Dryden. Which work you liked about Dryden? Now, that is not the right question. You can say that in your slide, you have mentioned so and so things. Based on that, I want to know more, or how do you see this? So connect your question with what is in the slides, not without that. That is very important. but there was a good question also, how you connect with like individual politician like Narendra Modi, the question that was asked, and also replied very well that it is not more about the people but about the political condition, which is satirized there. So though Dryden is satirizing individual, but he is not directly naming anybody. And so there is a political situation which is satirized there. Even Shashi Tharoor's example, which was discussed there also, there are allegorical names of Mahabharata. There is no direct reference except for Salman Rushdie, who used in Midnight's Children, and there were legal cases, court cases about that also. Drashti, also well prepared slides were there. Dryden as a satirist. Index was a good idea. Many of you, that index was good, which and many of you can follow that what is the roadmap of your presentation. So in one of the slides, you can put that. Points to ponder also somebody has used, or index, and that you can move on. You can also try this thing if it works here, that you click on that point number 1 and the slide goes. Once that point ends, you come back again to the first index. Again, you click on the second and you go there. So that is also a good way. Try to see first here. In PowerPoint, it will work. Once you upload, it may not work also. So you have to see in Google Class when it is uploaded, is it working or not? But that is good to show the index of your presentation. GIF images were also used in that. The question was not answered properly. Contemporary relevance. You try to answer with the father, son, or father, daughter, but that is not appropriately justifying the contemporary relevance. Gayatri on Hamartia. Good slides were prepared. Good content, image, text combination also you have given. Answers also very well given by you. Sources from Gestor also were used, though they're not integrated, but they were very good sources you used in your presentation. Ghanshyam also prepared very good slide. We have discussed that. Good combination. Thematic connection is something very important. With all your color combination and everything, try to connect it with themes that you are talking about. Witchcraft, you are talking about supernaturals in Macbeth. Good graphical connection you have given. Sources were also very good. Quality sources were cited. Citation also was almost perfect. Only integration was not there. Otherwise, it was very good. Gopi presented on women in Rover. Again, well presented. Slides were good, well prepared, well presented also. When you were presenting, you pronounced everything quite correctly. You spoke also very well, but in answers, you were not able to maintain the same quality. So when you were trying to give the answer extempore, at that time, there were slight problems in your speaking. Citations, you mixed APA and MLA. That should not be done. So maybe you will come to know what is the difference between APA and MLA if it was not discussed in your workshop. But then it becomes clear because you copy from some sources. Some journals publish it as APA, some as MLA. In this image that I have shared with you, you will find MLA is this, APA is this. There are many such citation style. So we are referring to MLA style of documentation. So that is what you have to keep in mind when you refer. Last one was by Hetal. Concept of ambition in Macbeth was discussed there. And good, again, points to ponder you have given there in your slides. Well spoken, well presented. Citation you centrally aligned. It should always be justify or left hand side. Citations are never centrally aligned on the page. The example of the film that you have given is not very appropriate. You have to pick up an example where out of ambition somebody is walking on wrong path and the end result also is tragic, that there is a repentance there. So that way you have to pick up the example. Don't quote from study material sites or this quote sites. There are many quote sites are there. So don't cite from there. If you think that there is a good quote, then try to verify, go to original, and you see it is okay, then cite original. So you can enter through quote sites, but verify with the original text, and then you cite that. Questions also were quite well asked, and you answered also very well. Okay, so now you have to do your evaluation in this online form. So do it before you leave, so you don't forget to do the evaluation of your classmates in the form peer and self evaluation. And tomorrow, don't forget to fill in the sheets the details about Google Classroom activities, tasks given in Google Classroom. What were the total tasks? How many completed? How many incomplete? So that you fill in the same spreadsheet. There is one more sheet given about Google Classroom tasks. So fill that. So tomorrow we will verify how many things are done and how many things are incomplete still in that task. Okay, so with this we end today's session here. And very quickly we'll have to ask the evening students to come here and take the seats. Within 10 minutes we'll have to start the new session.